Sometimes it takes a doomsday scenario to appreciate what you really have: family, friends, faith, preparedness, self-reliance, and single-use plastics.
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of when we have water bottles out of plastic, away from plastic towards paper.
That Canadian oratory history heritage moment, brought to us by our highly articulate Prime Minister, happened the day Trudeau announced that Canada would be banning single-use plastics by 2021. Now, before we had the war on the coronavirus, less than a year ago, however, it seems so long ago, the Canadian government was fighting the other major threat to Canadian health: plastic. The perfectly inert, perfect garbage. Plastic, if managed properly, as opposed to being shipped off out of sight, out of mind from our cities and towns to the third world for recycling, which often means being dumped in a river somewhere, is actually a pretty sanitary garbage. You see, it doesn't leak, it doesn't leach, it can be stored, well, for nearly forever. And better yet, it can be burned relatively cleanly to create energy that heats and powers homes. Plastic's amazing. And no sane person, heavy emphasis on sane, thinks straws from Fort McMurray are ending up in the nostrils of sea turtles somewhere. If you can't already tell, I'm pretty pro-plastic, and I think the war on it is pretty stupid and has serious unintended health consequences for the welfare of Canadians. Let's take a look at how the current coronavirus health crisis is ending the war on plastic, and actually I couldn't be happier about it. I mean, right here is Canada's dangerously inept health minister, Patty Hajdu. And as recently as February 3rd, 2020, she tweeted, "Last week, we published a study of plastic pollution in Canada, concluding that plastic pollution is harming us and our environment. We're using this data to inform Canada's single-use plastics ban and conducting more research to further our understanding." Well, those are weird priorities for the Health Minister of Canada, especially when we put the date of February 3rd, when she tweeted that, into some global context. By February 3rd, the outbreak of the coronavirus had already overtaken the number of deaths related to the SARS virus. 20,000 people were sickened, and 60 million people, if we are to take the Chinese government's numbers at face value, were already under lockdown in China on February 3rd. And the United States already had its first case of coronavirus. Things were getting hot out there. February 3rd was also the beginning of the Chinese coronavirus disinformation campaign. Just look at this from the BBC. Coronavirus. China accuses the U.S. of causing panic and spreading fear. However, our health minister, let's call her Pandemic Patty, was busy fighting the war on deadly plastic. I'm filming this video today on March 20th, 2020. And on March 11th, 2020, so just 9 short days ago, Justin Trudeau's Liberals were promising to declare plastic a toxic substance, listing plastics as toxic under Schedule 1 of the Canada Environmental Protection Act, along with things like methane, mercury, asbestos, lead, formaldehyde, and bisphenol A. But as it turns out, plastic isn't so toxic after all. When you're in the middle of a plague, it's not at all like lead or mercury. In fact, plastic's going to play a major role in keeping us safe and mitigating the number of deaths caused by the looming coronavirus pandemic. For example, Canada's favorite coffee chains, pick your favorite coffee chain, have reverted back to using single-use plastics after years and years of encouraging customers to buy their reusable cups or bring their own mug. Why? Well, of course, for sanitation purposes, to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. You see, these coffee chains don't want to touch your gross coffee cup. They want to give you a spanking new clean one with a gorgeous plastic lid for your health and for theirs. And after years and years of municipal bans and stores encouraging Canadian consumers to bring their own gross, seldom washed, reusable grocery bags to the grocery store to avoid using single-use plastic bags are now back with a vengeance, because not only can your disgusting reusable plastic bag contribute to you getting E. coli, it can also help spread the coronavirus around. And so major chains like Save on Foods are bringing back the single-use plastic bags they used to tell you to never use in their stores. And here's another story of how more single-use plastic would actually be beneficial in fighting this pandemic. It's from the Halifax Chronicle-Herald. A North End Halifax distillery looking for small bottles to put hand sanitizer in is hoping someone can steer them in the right direction. Recently, Compass Distillers started to follow the World Health Organization's guide to make hand sanitizer. We feel like this is the smart thing to do in a situation like this, where we are facing shortages of hand sanitizer, along with an unprecedented crisis, distiller Alex Rathel said. I'm sure I said his name wrong. Sorry, Alex. You seem like a good guy doing good things. But the company is having difficulties finding small containers to put the product in. We've talked to some of the producers that we normally talk to for bottles, and there's a shortage everywhere. Renee Perry, sales, event, and marketing manager of Compass Distillers, said Tuesday. Canadians, by now, we were supposed to all be drinking from paper, drink box, water bottle sort of things, and plastic was to be a distant memory for all of us. A campfire boogeyman story we would tell our kids with Greta Thunberg and Catherine McKenna as the heroines who slew the plastic coffee lid monster. Instead, fanatical plastic banners are currently being mugged by the reality of how important plastic is to maintaining our first world quality of life and first world hygiene standards. It's just like with homeschooling, spending more time at home, prepping and eating in more often. Sometimes it takes a plague for the world to come around to my way of thinking. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. If you like the work we do here at Rebel News, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you ring the little bell so that you never miss a story. And if you want to continue supporting the work we do, one of the best ways to do that is to become a subscriber to Rebel News Plus. That's what we call our long-form TV-style shows here on Rebel News. Just go to rebelnews.com/subscribe to become a member today.